entry-level phones were never meant to have the best specs. And this is just something that we already know considering the amount that we pay for them. But interestingly, with the Vivo Y35, Vivo was able to pack plenty of features we would only see on higher-end phones. And these are exactly what we are checking out here in this review. To set things in order, let's first lay out the specs of this phone. This is running on the Snapdragon 680 chipset with 8GB of RAM plus 8GB of extended RAM. It also has a somewhat large storage for an entry-level phone at 256GB. And powering it is a large 5000 mAh battery that is paired with 44W flash charge. So as one would expect, the user experience on this phone is on a higher level. With the footage that you're seeing on your screens right now, you can probably tell that not only is this a decent performer, it also looks pretty good. I can even say that it does look more expensive than it actually is. The build is mostly plastic, but the frame feels like it's made of aluminum with some slight curves around its edges, making it feel smooth in our hands. The frame also houses the side-mounted fingerprint scanner, and right on top of it is the volume rocker, which I really like since I personally like having all the buttons on one side to avoid any accidental presses. Those looking for a slim and light phone might not feel too at home with this one, as this does feel a bit on the thicker side, measuring 8.3mm thick and weighing 188 grams. One thing I did like on this phone though is the 6.58-inch Full HD Plus display. To be honest, I was expecting this to have the exact same display that they used on the Y33s, as they are pretty similar, but having used both, I can tell that it is much improved on the Y35. Colors are more vibrant and using it feels faster now with its 90Hz refresh rate. Vivo did choose to go with a dewdrop notch on this one, so there's a bit more of a dated feel. It is an IPS panel, so we won't be bothered by any image retention issues, and viewing angles look great. Moving on to the battery and charging, as I mentioned in our first impressions video, I haven't found a phone in the entry-level category which has charging speeds faster than this one. And true to their claim, the 44W charging did get me from 15% to full at exactly 1 hour of having the phone plugged in. That is half of the speeds we would usually get from an entry-level phone, which to me is quite impressive. I was also pleased that battery endurance is also pretty strong, that it is able to get me through a whole day of hard use, and I was left with 58% remaining at the end of day. This is considering that I was on mobile data the whole time. Again, pretty good results thanks to the combination of battery capacity and efficient hardware. Now down to its performance, we have tried a number of phones which are also running on the same chipset, so I was expecting that this would probably perform around the same. To my surprise, there is actually a significant improvement on this phone. Everything felt much smoother and lighter, even in terms of navigating the device. The large RAM makes it that apps barely close down and are kept running in the background, which makes multitasking a smooth experience. Gaming performance also benefited from this hardware, as we get the highest settings available on games like Call of Duty Mobile, which ran flawlessly. It's fast and responsive on this chipset, plus the refresh rate also makes it feel even smoother. Mobile Legends also weren't a problem without any significant slowdown in-game, so fans of this game won't be disappointed. But for the big boy game Genshin Impact, the Y35 also did not disappoint us here. At its default setting, I barely experienced any lags even at heavily detailed areas. At medium, the experience is still considerably manageable, but slowdowns are a bit more apparent. A combination of low and medium settings is what I would consider to be its sweet spot, but you can actually get away with a few settings on high, still making the game look visually appealing while maintaining a relatively smooth gameplay. However, we are limited to 4G speeds for our data connection as a limitation of the Snapdragon 680 chipset, which is a bit of a bummer. Now, much like the performance, I also expected the Y35's cameras to perform in the same way that their similarly spec phones would. But again, I was a bit shocked that that wasn't the case. The camera on the Y35 is actually capable of capturing a great amount of detail provided we manually adjust the exposure slider. Colors are nicely handled and sharpness is not overly digital, which is something different in entry-level phones. This also means there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to editing, since it's much easier to add saturation and sharpness rather than to remove it if it's already applied. For reference, I am including some photos that I've edited on Snapseed to give you guys an idea of what you can actually do with this. There's no doubt that the Y35 is a budget phone mixed with some features from higher-end phones. But the price range it is competing in may be a bit difficult to win over. for just a little bit more, a lower mid-range phone isn't too far off, which would be better in most cases. Truly, the fast-charging, large RAM and storage, high-res display, and respectable cameras are attractive buying propositions offered by the Y35. Though I really would have preferred if this was capable of 5G data speeds. However, for what it offers, I think this is still a very solid phone. But there are also those who can afford a more expensive phone but do prefer to save up a bit for something else like earbuds or a smartwatch, which also makes the Y35 a great option. And if you happen to fall under this case, you may want to check out these links for our recommendations for accessories, and I'll see you in the next video.